God commands the ark. A long time ago, the world was very different from how we know it today. People lived in many places and the earth was full of life. But things were not always peaceful or kind. Some people made choices that caused a lot of sadness and hurt. It was a time when goodness was harder to find. In the midst of all this, there was a man named Noah. He was special because he listened carefully to God. Noah tried to live in a good and gentle way, even when many others did not. One quiet day, God spoke to Noah with a soft voice, a voice full of care and wisdom. God shared a plan, a careful and big plan, to help the earth heal and start fresh. God told Noah many important things. God said, "Noah, I want you to build something very large. It will be a big boat called an ark. This ark will keep you, your family, and many animals safe when a great flood comes." Noah nodded slowly. It was a big responsibility, and he knew it would take time to follow God's command carefully. God continued, explaining how the ark should be made. It would be made from a special kind of wood, gopher wood. It was strong and would help the ark float safely on the water. The ark would have rooms inside, with space for all kinds of animals. It would have 3 levels or decks, one on top of the other. This way, there would be enough room for everyone and everything that needed to be saved. God said, "Make a door for the ark on its side. You will open this door when it is time to gather the animals and enter. Also, make a window near the top. This window will let in fresh air and light." Noah listened carefully, the sound of God's words gentle and clear in his heart. He began to imagine the ark, piece by piece, just as God had described. Even though he had never built something so large before, Noah started to plan and prepare. Then God spoke about the animals, the creatures that shared the earth with people. "Take with you 2 of every kind of living creature," God said softly, "a male and a female, so that they can live on and grow after the flood." Noah thought about the many animals he knew, the birds that sang in the morning, the animals that roamed the hills, and the tiny creatures that filled the gardens. All of them were precious in God's eyes. But God also said something special about some animals. "Take 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal and bird. These will be important for new beginnings and offerings." Noah knew it might be strange to gather so many creatures, but he trusted God's gentle guidance. He believed this was a way to care for all living things. Noah was also told about the flood, the water that would cover the earth. God said the rain would fall for many days, and the waters would rise very high, covering even the tallest mountains. Noah felt a quiet seriousness in God's words. This flood was meant to wash the earth clean and make ways for new growth and life. It was a time of change, but God promised to care for those who trusted him. God told Noah to bring food, enough to last during the time on the ark, food for his family and for all the animals they would care for. Noah knew this would be a long journey, and he began to prepare with quiet patience. So he began to build the ark, slowly and carefully. Day by day he worked with his hands. He sawed wood and hammered beams. He measured the length, the width, and the height, following God's thoughtful instructions. Many days passed. The ark began to take shape, a huge and strong shelter, ready to float when the time came. Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, helped him. They worked quietly, sharing this important task. They moved with steady hands, careful not to rush, because they wanted to do everything just as God had said. Sometimes people nearby would watch and wonder at the strange work. They might have asked questions, but Noah and his family stayed calm and focused. They knew this work was different from anything else. As the ark grew larger, Noah also gathered food, grain, seeds, and fruits for the animals and his family. He planned how to keep the food safe and fresh. Then came the time to gather the animals. God gently guided them all, 1 pair at a time, or 7 pairs for some clean animals. Noah watched in quiet amazement as creatures came: elephants with gentle steps, lions with careful paws, birds with fluttering wings, and tiny insects with delicate legs. Each animal found its place on the ark. They moved calmly, as if they knew they were part of something important and peaceful. Inside, Noah and his family cared for the animals with soft words and gentle hands. They knew the animals were trusting them, and they listened to the sounds and rhythms of each creature. After all was ready, Noah looked at the ark, a great floating home built with care and hope. God's voice came again, slow and steady, filled with a promise. Soon the rains will come, and the earth will be covered with water. But you will be safe in the ark, for I will be with you. Noah felt a calm settle inside him. Though the days ahead would be quiet and strange, he trusted the gentle plan God had shared. The sky darkened softly, the first drops of rain falling like a gentle song. The earth seemed to breathe deeply, resting beneath the sky's tender tears. Noah gathered his family inside the ark. The animals found their places. The door was closed, not with a slam but with a gentle sealing, keeping warmth and safety inside. Outside, the rain began to fall steadily, a quiet rhythm that grew and grew. The great flood had begun. Inside the ark, the air was calm. The sounds of water outside were steady, like a lullaby. Noah and his family cared for the animals gently, feeling the quiet strength of the ark holding them all safe. The rain continued, falling softly as the world outside rested and rested, waiting for a new beginning. And so, inside the ark, Noah and all the creatures were protected, held in a quiet space, guided by the gentle voice of God. Outside the ark, the waters continued to rise steadily. The land Noah had once known was disappearing beneath the relentless sheets of rain. The soft sound of droplets on wood and leaves grew into a steady rush, as rivers and streams swelled and merged into one great sea. Still, inside, there was a comforting stillness. Noah's family gathered near the center of the ark. Their eyes met with quiet understanding. Though the world outside was changing beyond recognition, their trust in God's word remained their anchor. The animals, tranquil and calm, nestled in their places, some dozing quietly, others gently nuzzling their companions. The atmosphere was one of peace, mixed with a hopeful anticipation of what lay ahead. Days blended into nights without clear distinction. The rain persisted, but inside the ark, warmth and safety cocooned everyone. Noah often looked out through the small window, watching the endless water and searching for any sign of the storm easing. The sense of isolation was profound, yet it was balanced by a deep faith, a steady whisper reminding them this was part of a greater plan. Noah's sons kept watch quietly by their father's side, their voices soft and calm as they spoke in hushed tones. They tended the animals together, sharing the quiet work of feeding, cleaning, and soothing. The soft murmur of their movements mixed with the gentle breaths of the creatures. It was a rhythm, a gentle pulse of life continuing even amid the deluge. On the seventh day, the rain finally began to lessen. Instead of the steady torrent, drops fell now and then, like a soft sigh from the heavens. The ark rocked gently on the endless water, steady and sure as ever, guided by the promise God had made. Noah closed his eyes in deep thankfulness, feeling the quiet reassurance that the storm would soon end. Time stretched quietly forward. The skies remained gray, heavy clouds gray and thick, yet no more rain came. Inside hearts continued to be filled with hope. Every morning Noah and his family would rise and check on the animals, whose calm presence was a balm to weary spirits. The little ones of many species began to respond to the gentle light filtering through the small openings. One morning, after many weeks adrift, Noah stood at the window once more. He saw the water beginning to recede slowly, the tips of the mountains peaking above the waves. It was a silent, breathtaking sight. Life beneath the waters was calm. The sun's warmth had returned, though the storm's mark would remain for a long time. Noah called his sons close. Together they shared a quiet moment of gratitude. The ordeal was nearly over, but still, patience and care were needed. The ark was their refuge, the vessel of preservation. Within these sturdy walls, nature and humanity waited for the earth to be renewed. Days passed gently. The ark rested at last upon a mountain peak, stable and secure. The animals stirred, sensing the change. It was time to prepare for the next phase, when the vast floodwaters would finally begin to pull back. Noah opened the ark's door slowly, the hinges creaking, a sound never before heard in that place of shelter, bringing with it the faint scent of rain-soaked earth. Animals stepped cautiously onto new ground, their feet feeling unfamiliar soil for the first time in many days. It was a rebirth, a quiet celebration of survival. Noah, his wife, and their sons helped the creatures off the ark and onto the slowly drying land. Every step forward was a step toward hope. They paused to breathe deeply, thankful for the gift of safety and for the promise of restoration that God had made. Together, they built altars of thanks and offered prayers of gratitude. The sky above was now brightening with light, painting the clouds with gold and soft hues of blue. The great flood had passed, and with it, a new chapter for the earth had begun. Noah's family looked around the renewed world, where life, delicate and strong, was ready to grow once again. Their hearts were full of peace, grounded in the knowledge that God's care was steadfast and true. Each breath they took, each gentle step on the soft earth, was a quiet song of faith and renewal. The ark, resting above the waters on the mountain, stood as a silent witness to the journey they had endured, proof of survival and divine mercy. And so, as the days unfolded softly before them, Noah and his family stepped into the sunlight of a restored earth, ready to nurture life and walk gently into whatever new paths lay ahead. As the last tendrils of morning mist lifted from the mountain slopes, a tranquil silence settled over the newly dry earth. The gentle rustling of leaves and the soft murmurs of animals exploring their fresh surroundings wove a harmonious symphony, calming the heart after such prolonged uproar. Noah stood quietly, his gaze tracing the horizon where the sky met the land, serene and wide. The first acts of stepping onto this renewed earth felt sacred, each footprint a testament to survival, a mark of a promise fulfilled. The air, rich with the scent of damp earth and new growth, filled their lungs deeply, as if breathing life itself back into tired bodies and souls. The children watched the birds take flight above, their wings tracing lines of freedom against the pale blue. With care, Noah and his family tended to the animals, guiding them gently to pastures lush and waiting. The hooves of deer softly stirred the grass. The feathers of birds shimmered with dew as they fluttered from branch to branch. Even the smallest creatures, hidden for so long within the ark's embrace, now explored their new world with cautious wonder. Noah's hands brushed against the thick fur of a bear, now calm and content, a silent understanding passing between them. As the sun climbed higher, its warmth seeped into the soil, coaxing delicate green shoots to peek shyly through the cracks of the recovering earth. Streams, once hidden beneath the floodwaters, whispered softly over smooth stones, tracing fresh paths through the valleys. The gentle current seemed to murmur stories of renewal, of cycles begun anew. Noah leaned close, listening to the quiet tales carried on the water's voice. In moments of stillness, Noah lifted his eyes upward, finding quiet solace in the vast sky, unfurling like a tapestry woven with threads of soft gold and tender blue. There, the light carried a gentle promise, a kind grace resting upon the world's shoulders. It was as if the heavens themselves breathed a sigh of relief, a slow exhale after the long storm. The family gathered near a cluster of sturdy oaks that had weathered the flood's fury. Together, they knelt in silent thanksgiving. The earth beneath them felt strong and true, a solid foundation to build upon, to tend, to nurture. Noah's voice was low but steady, carrying a melody of gratitude that mingled with the chirping birds and rustling branches. Days unfolded gently after that first step from the ark. Each sunrise brought a soft unveiling of nature's resilience. Wildflowers began to color the slopes, painting gentle strokes of purple, pink, and white across the landscape. Bees and butterflies returned, dancing lightly from bloom to bloom, humming a delicate hymn to life's return. Noah's family worked together, clearing small patches of earth, carefully planting seeds saved from before the rains. Those tiny specks, so small and fragile, held the promise of harvests to come, whispers of future sustenance and hope. Morning by morning, the children watched as green tips pushed through the soil, slow and modest, like shy greetings after a long absence. By the evening's gentle glow, animals rested beneath the vast canopy, their breaths soft and even. Noah often found himself by the ark's great door, now resting open like the arms of a guardian, its presence a lasting reminder of journey and protection. The wood, weathered but strong, caught the early stars in its worn grain, sparkling quietly under a sky unveiled. Sometimes as twilight deepened, Noah felt the soft presence of peace within, an ebbing calm that resonated deep inside, like the first tender notes of a lullaby meant to soothe restless hearts. The world was slowly knitting itself back together, the seams mending in quiet, unseen ways. The faces of his family carried a gentle light that radiated from more than just shelter and survival. It came from faith renewed and hope restored. When the wind whispered through the trees, carrying soft scents of pine and earth, Noah breathed slowly, attuned to the rhythm of this new life. Waves of patience settled deep, brushing away shadows of uncertainty. Each moment was a gift, a soft unfolding of grace, arriving in the folds of day and night. In the stillness, Noah could hear the echo of God's words, tender and sure. The promise made was ongoing, a covenant painted in every leaf and stone, in every breath shared under the sun and stars. Life, in all its fragile strength, was entrusted once again to the care of those who walked gently upon the land. And so they began, step by quiet step, to weave themselves into the fabric of this restored earth. The ark beside the mountain stood as both shelter behind and beacon ahead, a silent sentinel, guarding the tender memory of storms weathered and a future quietly kindled. Noah found comfort in knowing this place would grow, would thrive like the slow blossoming of the fields and forests. Years could come and pass, seasons would turn, and yet here, rooted firmly in faith and love, life would blossom with unwavering grace. As daylight slowly waned into evening, painting the sky with hues of rose and lavender, Noah's family gathered once more. Their voices rose softly in a song of thanksgiving, harmonizing with the calls of night birds and the gentle rustle of branches. This was a new beginning, a sacred dawn carried on tender wings. In the hush that followed, as stars shimmered quietly overhead, the earth seemed to breathe alongside them, a timeless witness, a partner in their journey forward. Together, they would walk this renewed path, guided always by the gentle light of faith, hope, and enduring love. The days stretched like soft songs, each moment unfolding with gentle purpose. Light filtered through the leaves in tender glimmers, dappling the family's path as they moved slowly through the new world. The air was fragrant with fresh earth and budding blooms, promising a future born from patience and care. Noah walked beside his children, their hands brushing softly against the thick trunks of trees that had grown taller since the rain departed. They listened closely to the quiet conversations of the woodland, birds calling, small creatures rustling in the underbrush, a harmony of life unfolding anew. Each sound was a whisper of resilience, a testament to the trust embedded deep within the soil and sky. The family tended their young garden with gentle hands, turning the soil in rhythms both familiar and newly learned. Seeds pressed softly into the earth's embrace, as if whispering prayers of growth and abundance. Leaves unfolded shyly toward the sun, delicate and vibrant as they reached for the sky. Noah's gaze often returned to the ark, now a solemn sentinel resting steadfastly on hardened ground. It held the echoes of storms weathered, protection granted, and journeys taken, a quiet monument to revelation and renewal. He touched the aged wood with reverence, feeling the pulse of memory within its grain. Evenings grew luminous with the slow, glowing descent of the sun, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose. Around a small fire, the family shared stories and soft songs, voices blending with the gentle crackle and rhythm of flickering flames. In those moments, time seemed to soften, stretching to include both past struggles and future hopes. Noah noticed how the animals, once wary, now lingered nearer. A pair of deer grazed in the distance, their movements fluid and untroubled. Birds nested quietly among the branches, their wings steady and sure. Life's pulse quickened not with haste, but with steady trust. During nights brushed with cool wind and pale starlight, Noah sat quietly, feeling the vastness above and the firmness beneath. He recognized the sacred promise seated within this new earth, the covenant renewed not only with humankind, but with every living breath. The responsibility was deep and gentle, to honor, protect, and nurture the blessing of life. As days passed, the family found new rhythms, work interwoven with moments of stillness. They built modest shelters, crafted tools from stones and wood, and learned the quiet lessons whispered by the land, their silver bodies flickering like fleeting dreams beneath the surface, inviting patience and hope. Noah spoke softly to the children about the importance of tending all creatures, not just those who walked beside them, but those within the soil, air, and water. "We are caretakers, not conquerors," he said. His words settled like seeds in their hearts, a growing understanding of harmony and stewardship. The wind seemed to carry messages from the distant sky, a steady murmur affirming that the work was sacred. Each new sprout, each fluttering leaf, was a reminder of the promise made, a tapestry woven in light and earth, hope and humility. One morning, as the sun's first rays stretched across the horizon, Noah stood at the edge of a quiet pond. The glassy surface reflected a vast sky, clear and boundless. A gentle ripple stirred the water, and with it, a deep sense of peace settled within him. Here was the beginning, endless and open, ready to be shaped by care and faith. The family gathered around him, their faces hopeful and calm. Together they bowed their heads in gratitude, not as a fleeting feeling, but as a steady flame that would guide their days. Words were simple but sincere, a vow to walk gently on this healed earth, to protect all that was fragile. As the sun climbed higher, birds rose in chorus above the trees, their songs carrying far and wide like threads of light. Noah listened closely, recognizing an ancient song brought anew, a melody of endurance, renewal, and quiet strength. With each passing day, the world blossomed a little more. The garden grew lush and green, the trees spread their branches wide, and the animals thrived in peaceful coexistence. Noah's heart swelled with a calm assurance, knowing the storm had passed and the journey ahead was one of gentle tending. The ark, steadfast and silent, remained a refuge of memory and promise. It was a reminder that even the greatest tempests yield to patience, faith, and love. And in its shadow, Noah and his family continued their quiet work, planting, nurturing, and living with hearts open to the blessing of a world reborn. As twilight softened the edges of the day, the family gathered one last time beneath the boughs of an ancient oak. Their voices rose in a soft refrain, blending with the nocturnal chorus, a lullaby for the earth, a prayer for what was to come. The stars blinked warmly overhead, as if offering their own silent benediction, and Noah, filled with calm and rooted hope, knew that this new chapter was a sacred gift, one to be cherished, protected, and shared with gentle hands and open hearts. The night deepened gently, wrapping the family and the land in quiet embrace. Tomorrow would bring more tending, more growth, more whispered promises on the wind. But for now there was only peace, a sacred moment held softly between earth and sky. Morning light filtered softly through the dawn, slipping between the leaves of the ancient oak under which Noah's family had gathered the night before. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the faint scent of earth and new growth, an invitation to begin again, to move forward with quiet purpose. Noah stood beside the pond, now glistening with morning dew. He watched as the ripples formed gentle circles, passing outward endlessly, a silent message of interconnectedness. The world was tender once more, delicate as a whisper, yet alive with a steady, reassuring pulse. It was a pulse he had sworn to honor, to protect, and to carry within him. His children stirred nearby, their eyes bright with curiosity and eagerness. In their hands, small bundles of seeds from the flowering plants around the edge of the pond. Noah's wife, her smile as calm as the waters, reminded them gently how each seed was a promise. Life waiting quietly below the surface, patient and ready. As they moved together through their morning tasks, the animals watched without fear. A pair of deer grazed softly near the low bushes. A red fox padded quietly along the path, its eyes thoughtful, as if understanding the sacred rhythm that pulsed between earth and sky. "We carry the trust of all living things," Noah said softly, his voice calm and steady like a chant. "Our footsteps must be light, our hands steady, and our hearts open." His daughter looked up, her gaze steady. "How do we keep that promise?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Noah kneeled at her side, pressing a seed into the rich soil. "By listening more than we speak, by watching more than we act. We care not only with our hands but with our souls. This is the way we honor the earth and all who dwell upon it." The children nodded solemnly, the weight of responsibility woven gently into their young hearts. From nearby, the soft cooing of the doves mingled with the rustle of awakening leaves, a symphony of soft calls and responses, a testament to life's enduring song. Over the days and weeks that followed, the family's work deepened. They planted rows of sturdy trees, their roots reaching deep into the soil like silent prayers. They built carefully with wood fallen naturally, carving tools from stone and shaping shelters that blended with the land rather than standing apart. Noah spent quiet moments teaching the rhythm of the seasons, the language of wind and rain, and the songs of the creatures who shared their world. And in each lesson, he circled back to the central command, the sacred stewardship entrusted by God, the ever-present mandate to protect and nurture creation. At dawn, when the air was crisp and the sky painted with soft pinks, birds emerged, callers of the new day, their voices threaded through the branches like threads of song, swift and sure. Noah and his family would listen, their silence shaped by reverence. The ark stood nearby, not as a symbol of what was lost, but what was saved, a vessel of hope and persistence, a gentle reminder that faith could carve paths through darkness. It had become a place of quiet contemplation, shelter from storms both of sky and mind. One afternoon, as clouds gathered quietly beyond the horizon, Noah sat beneath a spreading maple, watching the light shift through its leaves. The family gathered close, warmth shared like sacred breath. A soft wind whispered through the branches, carrying words unspoken but deeply understood. "Remember," Noah said, "we are caretakers, not conquerors. The earth is not ours to command, but ours to tend. What we protect today lives in the hearts of those who come after." His wife reached out, her hand resting gently on his. Around them the subtle shimmer of life, young saplings, steady stones, the quiet pulse of water, wove a world renewed by sacred care. Even as the skies held promise of rain, there was no fear, only trust in the process, in the unseen hands of love and renewal working beneath the surface. The rain would return life to the soil and carry away what was no longer needed, washing the world clean for another day. In the evenings, the family returned often to the oak tree, its roots deep and strong, a witness to their journey. There they shared stories of the past, sung songs of hope and endurance, and felt the quiet grounding that came from connection to something greater than themselves. The youngest child would press her hand to the rugged bark, whispering thanks for the shelter it offered. In those moments, the sacred promise became living truth, a steady flame burning gentle and bright through both joy and shadow. And there, beneath the watchful sky, time moved as a lullaby, soft, endless, full of grace. Soon the seasons turned again, spring's fresh green unfurled with new life, a reminder that even after great trials, the cycle of renewal flows onward, unbroken. The family's vow held firm, a quiet covenant written in every planted seed, every gentle breath, every shared moment of peace. Noah found strength not in grand gestures, but in these small, steady acts of love, in tending the earth, caring for the creatures, and walking with mindful steps. He saw reflected the heart of God's command, a call to nurture all life, as both gift and sacred trust. On nights when the stars shone brightest, the family would look skyward, feeling the vastness above and the smallness within. Yet even in that vastness, there was connection, threads of light weaving every soul, every creature, every hope together in one infinite tapestry. They understood finally that the ark was not only a vessel of wood and nails, but a symbol of enduring faith, a gentle reminder that when love guides us, life finds its way forward, even through storm and shadow. Quietly beneath the stars, Noah whispered a prayer not only for the family but for the earth itself, grateful for the chance to walk gently upon it, to listen deeply, and to live with hearts open wide. The night held no end, only the promise of new beginnings wrapped in the hush of the world's eternal song. And so with every dawn the story grew, a story of faith long held, patience long practiced, and a love that wrapped softly around all creation like the dawn's first light, gentle, enduring, and true. As dawn stretched across the horizon, Noah rose quietly, his breath a steady rhythm in the cool morning air. The world felt tender, wrapped in the light haze of awakening. In these sacred moments, he treasured the quiet chorus of the earth, each sound a gentle reminder of God's presence in all things. He stepped outside, the fine mist curling around the trunks of towering trees. The oak, steadfast and wise, stood like a guardian, watching over them. Noah began to walk slowly among the saplings and ferns, the ground soft beneath his feet, still moist from last night's dew. He reached out lightly, touching the leaves with care. In these small acts, he found a quiet spiritual comfort, like a prayer whispered not with words, but with love. Behind him, the ark loomed, its vast hull crafted with hands full of hope and humility. It was not merely a vessel built to survive, it was a promise, faith carved into its very beams. The ark kept the family anchored in their sacred mission to protect what had been entrusted to them, the precious web of life that wove through the earth. Inside the warm light of the dwelling, the family stirred, each person moved with a gentle awareness, mindful not to disturb the peace. The youngest, eyes still heavy with sleep, emerged and gazed upon the morning with quiet wonder. "Thank you," the child whispered softly, voice like a breath, "for all you give us, sheltering us beneath your wings, the trees, the sky." Noah smiled at this simple gratitude. It was a balm for the heart and a reminder that reverence for life began with thanks. As the sun climbed higher, the family gathered beneath the oak, its massive branches stretched open, shading them in a soft canopy of green. Here, among the roots and ancient wood, Noah spoke in his gentle voice, not with preaching, but with storytelling, reminding them of the stories carried in the cycles of the earth, the lessons taught by the turning of seasons. They spoke of the delicate balance of beings great and small, all playing their part in the great tapestry. The birds sang once more, their melodies like threads weaving the morning together. Noah listened deeply, knowing that it was a language beyond words, a sacred communication between sky and earth. The rustle of leaves, the hum of insects, the slow pulse of life awakening, each was part of a living prayer. In the afternoon, as dappled sunlight fell upon the quiet water nearby, the family took time for care. They tended to the seeds planted days ago, brushing earth gently over them. Each seed held the promise of new beginnings, fragile, yet full of strength. Noah reflected that though the harvest was yet unseen, the patience of planting, of waiting with hope, was itself a holy act. He watched as his children worked, their hands moving with eagerness and care. The eldest paused to close their eyes, breathing in the scent of soil and green leaves. "The earth gives us more than food," they said softly. "It gives us lessons in patience, in trust." Noah nodded, knowing this was true. To steward and cherish creation was not a burden but a blessing. Evening fell with a gentle hush. The sky deepened into shades of indigo, and stars began to glimmer like quiet promises against the dark. Around a small fire, the family gathered again. They shared stories of the day, moments of joy and learning. The flicker of flames danced upon their faces, casting a soft light that carried a timeless peace. Noah lifted his eyes to the heavens. In the endless expanse, he saw not only stars, but the enduring presence of the Creator, an infinite source of love, holding all things in tender embrace. He prayed softly, words weaving trust and hope together, asking for guidance to walk humbly, to live gently, and to love without end. His family listened, their hearts open, the fire a warm rhythm beside them. They felt themselves part of something vast, a great connectedness that neither time nor trial could sever. Before sleep claimed them, Noah crossed to the ark. His hands ran over the wood's smooth surface, a silent vow renewed. The ark was more than wood and nails. It was a symbol of enduring faith, a testament to the quiet strength found in love's steadfast embrace, especially when faced with hardship. He thought of the future, of the days ahead still unknown, of the patience they must nurture, the hearts they must keep open. Yet he felt no fear, only calm certainty that they were not alone. The earth, the skies, the gentle creatures, and even the winds carried a sacred trust, guiding footfalls to tread softly, to protect and nourish the life given to them. As the night deepened, Noah returned to rest, his family close, the world quiet but alive. They slept under the vigilant watch of stars, each one a gentle guardian shining through the silence. In these moments, the story of Noah and his family was not only of survival, but of renewal. Renewal born not from might or domination, but from faith, patience, and a loving stewardship of all the earth's fragile beauty. The ark waited quietly by, a beacon of hope and resilience, reminding all who would listen that even after great trials, the breath of life continues, the heart of the world beats on, ever gentle, ever strong. and with that comforting knowledge, they rested, wrapped in a sacred peace, held within the endless embrace of creation's quiet song. Dawn crept softly over the horizon, painting the sky with gentle strokes of pink and gold. The air was still cool and fragrant, carrying the promise of a new day, a fresh beginning. Noah rose quietly, careful not to disturb the waking family. Outside, the ark rested firm and steady, an ancient vessel cradling life's fragile hope. A soft rustling of leaves and distant bird calls formed a tender hymn welcoming the morning light. Noah stepped toward the rising sun, feeling a quiet pulse beneath his feet, the earth's heartbeat echoing the rhythm within his own chest. This bond, unspoken and profound, held the family steadfast through all uncertainties. Each breath drawn was a sacred connection to the breath of the world. He paused a moment beneath the oak, eyes tracing the branches high above, where the leaves caught the light like emerald whispers. With calm certainty, the voice of the Creator came again, not in thunder or storm, but as a gentle nudge upon the wind. It was a call to tend the ark once more, to prepare not just the vessel, but the hearts that dwelled within it. A reminder, stewardship was not merely tending to wood and nails, but to kindness, to patience, to love stretching beyond time. Noah returned inside, his steps quiet on the worn timbers. His family was beginning to stir, faces shadowed with sleep, but soft with hope. His wife's eyes met his, and a small smile passed between them, wordless yet full of understanding. The children gathered close, their fingers brushing the coolness of the wooden beams, sensing the weight of the day's promise. Together, they approached the ark's threshold. Its massive door stood partly open, shadows pooling like gentle echoes on the floor inside. Noah reached out, tracing the grain with slow reverence, every mark a testament to labor, faith, and unyielding love. The ark was more than shelter, it was a sacred covenant. Here, life waited patiently to be renewed, to stretch and blossom anew. The family began their morning tasks. The youngest carried fresh water, splashing it softly over newly sprouted leaves nestled in earth. Each drop shimmered, a sunlit blessing falling quietly to nourish roots beneath the surface. Noah's eldest son arranged bundles of herbs and seeds with careful hands, stories of growth embedded in every gesture. They moved together, a silent dance of caretakers within the house of life. As midday approached, a light warmth filled the air. The sky, vast and endless, seemed to breathe alongside them, a living dome of possibility. Noah paused again by the doorway, sensing the sacred interplay of earth, water, and sky. Life persisted in cycles, and through the ark, they were part of that sacred secret. Never alone, always held. He called the family close once more, and in the quiet hush between heartbeats, spoke of trust, not the fragile kind born from sight or certainty, but the deep kind, the patient waiting, the acceptance of mystery, the courage to believe in unseen strength. His voice was a soft current, carrying assurance across invisible waves. "We must not rush," he said. "We will listen, tending each moment as it comes, for the ark, like our lives, is shaped by gentle hands, by love given freely, without demand." The children nodded, their faces open and unguarded. They understood in their own quiet ways that life's grace was a river flowing beyond human control, inviting them always to bend, to yield, to embrace the unexpected. Afternoon light melted to a golden hue, warming the timbered walls and casting long, soft shadows. The family gathered once more under the oak tree. Noah's wife reached out to clasp his hand, her smile steady and calm, a mirror of the faith that filled their shared journey. Seeds planted in the earth beneath their feet whispered promises that only time could reveal. As evening deepened, the gentle flicker of firelight traced the lines of each face, weaving a tapestry of belonging and peace. Stories once again rose like gentle smoke, echoes of the past and hopes for the future. They spoke of the cycles, of the stars that watched over them, and of the love that held all things together, unseen but endlessly present. Noah lifted his voice in prayer, a quiet murmur carried by the night air to the vast silence above. He asked for strength not through force, but through gentleness, for guidance not through power, but through humility, for courage not in solitude, but in the unbreakable bond of family and earth. Through the prayer, the ark seemed to breathe with them, a living testament to the resilience born from faith. Here held the promise of dawn after darkness, growth after stillness, life flourishing beyond trials. When the fire's warmth faded to embers, and the stars emerged in their silent vigil. The family lay beneath the vast canopy of night. The world around them pulsed softly with life, steady and eternal. In their hearts, a renewal kindled, not of grand gestures or mighty deeds, but of quiet patience and steadfast love. The ark stood steadfast, a beacon carved not through might, but through the enduring spirit of care and hope. It was a shelter for more than bodies. It sheltered dreams, faith, and the sacred trust that even through the hardest storms, life would persist. In the stillness, Noah gazed upward. The stars seemed to whisper back a timeless truth, that every ending held the seed of a new beginning, each shadow the promise of light. And as the earth turned slowly beneath the sky, the family slept, cradled in the gentle arms of renewal, of faith gently born, and love that would never falter. Dawn crept slowly over the horizon, soft and quiet beneath the aging sky. The ark breathed gently with the rhythms of waking life, its timbers warm with the promise of a new day. Small sounds stirred in the gentle light, the faint rustle of leaves, the whisper of wind through the sails, the tender murmur of water on wood. Inside, the family rose with the sun, eyes still heavy with dreams, hearts light with hope. Noah stood at the threshold, feeling the pulse of the morning like a steady drumbeat in his chest. The air smelled sweet with the scent of earth and moisture, fresh and untarnished. He watched as his children moved slowly towards the small windows, their faces clear with quiet wonder, their breath misting softly against the cool glass. Each child a story unfolding, a promise ripening in the dawn. They gathered again beneath the oak tree, that ancient sentinel whose roots reached deep into the ark's heart. Noah placed a hand on the rust bark, grounding himself in its enduring strength. Around him, the family settled into a circle, hands touching, eyes meeting with shared understanding. The simple act of coming together became a sacred ritual, binding them with invisible threads of faith and resilience. Today held a different kind of work. The seeds pressed between worn palms, the seedlings in their fragile pots. They were not merely plants, but echoes of the earth's first breath. Noah spoke softly about the cycles of life and death, of endings folding seamlessly into beginnings, like the turning of a page. "We care for these sprouts as a promise to tomorrow," he said, "because life is never finished, only transformed." The children listened, their hands reaching out to touch leaves and soil with reverence. They understood more than words could hold. Trust, they learned, was a quiet river that carried them onward when the path seemed unseen. The ark was not just a vessel navigating floodwaters, but a sanctuary where patience grew as surely as the plants they tended. As the sun climbed, the light inside the ark grew warmer. Gentle sounds filled the spaces between conversations, the drip of water from a dripping leaf, the soft crunch of earth underfoot, the faint flutter of feathers. Each sensation wove seamlessly into the fabric of their day, reminding them of the delicate balance sustaining life around and within them. Noah's wife moved among them like a soothing melody, her hands laden with baskets of food and fresh water. She smiled quietly, her eyes reflecting the calm strength that held the family together. Her touch was a balm, gentle and steady, infusing each task with love's quiet power. When noon approached, the family paused beneath the spreading branches to share a simple meal. They ate slowly, savoring every bite as if tasting the earth's own breath. Conversation ebbed and flowed like a gentle tide, stories emerging to weave moments of laughter and reflection. The children marveled at the small joys, the feel of ripe fruit, the murmur of bees, the caress of summer air. Noah then told a story near the fire, his voice low and steady, carrying the ancient wisdom passed through generations. He spoke of the silent patience of the mountains, of the enduring song of the sea, of the quiet courage found in the smallest of creatures. True strength, he said, is born not from conquest but from gentleness, from the quiet resilience that refuses to break. The afternoon light shifted slowly, softening, blushing with the promise of evening. Shadows lengthened, stretching across the wooden floor like fingers reaching for rest. The family moved once more beneath the oak tree, weaving their hands together in silent prayer. Thanks for survival, for the binding of hearts, for the promise etched in every breath. As night began its slow descent, the ark hummed softly, enfolding its people in a cocoon of warmth and safety. No one stirred. The world outside had shifted into stillness. Above, the stars blinked awake, their ancient lights spilling like rivers of fire across the indigo sky. Each star a testament to the enduring spirit of life, a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, light finds a way. Noah lay beside his family, fingers loosely intertwined. He felt the steady rise and fall of their breathing, a quiet symphony of peaceful existence. The ark, their sacred covenant, held them close. Their dreams blended with the eternal whisper of hope, that steadfast flame which no flood could extinguish. The night deepened, timeless and vast, but within the ark, time folded quietly. The promise of renewal rested on their shoulders, gentle yet unbreakable. Morning would come again, and with it the endless cycle, life flowing forward, forever new, forever held in the embrace of love and grace. And so they rested, wrapped in the tender arms of faith, hope, and unity, steadfast as the stars, resilient as the earth, and gentle as the river's endless song. Dawn crept softly over the horizon. A gentle light spilled through the narrow windows of the ark, painting the wooden beams with a muted gold. Outside, the storm had passed, leaving a silence heavy with anticipation. The air inside was cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and worn timber. Noah stirred, his breath slow and even. The steady rhythm of the ark cradled him, a quiet reminder that life persisted. Beside him, his wife opened her eyes, a faint smile playing on her lips as she glanced at the resting children. The softness of their breaths mingled, a fragile harmony threaded through the stillness. He rose carefully, mindful not to awaken those wrapped in dreams. Each step carried the weight of unseen promises. The ark was no longer merely wood and nails. It had become sanctuary, a vessel of sacred trust. Outside, the world was washed clean. The trees glistened, dripping with gentle droplets that shone like tiny prisms. The air was thick with renewal, as if the earth itself exhaled a long-held breath. Noah stepped onto the small deck, the boards creaking softly underfoot. His gaze lifted to the vast sky, the horizon a soft breath of pastel pink and pale blue. The stars had faded, but their quiet presence lingered like memories etched in light. He allowed a moment to surrender to the vastness above, the infinite spread promising possibility. Within him, a tender resolve stirred. The covenant was not in words alone, but in care for this fragile life, for the earth that would receive them again. Every gentle touch, every whispered word, every act of patience would nourish the new beginning. When the children began to stir, their eyes slowly adjusting to the gentle dawn, Noah gathered them close. He spoke with quiet certainty about the sun's promise to return, about the soft soil waiting for seedlings' roots to reach. He spoke of the steady river, of the strength found in kindness, and in the soft patience that carries life even through darkness. Their faces brightened with fragile hope, reflecting the warmth of the room and the gentle cadence of his voice. The weight of fear receded, replaced by trust not just in him, but in the rhythms of life itself. Noah's wife brought forth simple bowls, filled with the first nourishing meal of the day, soft grains and sweet steeped fruits. They ate slowly, savoring each bite as though tasting the earth's whispered blessing. The children, still small and uncertain, found comfort in these shared moments, their hands reaching instinctively to one another. As the morning deepened, soft laughter emerged like morning birdsong. It was light and tentative, but it blossomed, weaving a delicate thread through the solemn air. Noah watched, heart swelling quietly as the arc of their spirits bent toward hope. He rose again and moved among them to tend small tasks, checking the supplies, smoothing blankets, listening to the steady pulse of the ark beneath the waves. Every detail mattered, every small action a prayer woven into the fabric of their shared survival. A sudden warmth touched his cheek, his wife's hand, steady and calm. She spoke no words, but her eyes told him everything he needed to know. They would endure. Together, with faith wrapped tightly about them, they were poised to embrace whatever lay beyond the water's edge. Outside, the wind whispered softly through the timbers, a sacred breath stirring the heart of the ark. It was a reminder that even in stillness, the world moved forward, carrying fragile life toward new days. As noon approached, a hush settled, as if the ark itself held its breath. Noah stepped to the railing and gazed downward. The floodwaters shimmered, a vast mirror stretched beneath the veil of clouds. It spoke of cleansing and mercy, of endings that birthed beginnings. The family gathered close once more, their hands finding one another like roots seeking the same nourishing earth. Noah's voice was low and steady, weaving a story not of fear, but of unwavering trust in the slow, steady unfolding of life's delicate balance. In the quiet that followed, each heart beat softly, a symphony of faith carried on the breath of the ark. Moments stretched and softened, the world denuded of noise and distraction, leaving only presence. As sunset painted the sky in gentle hues of amber and rose, the family prepared for rest once more. They wrapped themselves in soft blankets, drawing close beneath the sheltering beams. Noah's wife hummed a lullaby, its notes flowing like a gentle stream weaving through the stillness. The children's eyes fluttered closed, trust unfolding in the deepening shadows. Noah felt the gentle weight of their breaths, a precious cadence that spoke of life's enduring promise. Outside, the stars began their cautious return, soft sparks flickering above the ark like distant lanterns guiding weary travelers home. The vast expanse held silence and hope woven into indelible threads. Noah whispered a final prayer, not loud but carried in the stillness between his words. It was a prayer not just for survival, but for courage, to walk gently forward, to listen deeply to the earth's quiet song, to nurture all living things with tender hands. The ark hummed softly once more, a cradle of peace amidst the vast unknown, and in its embrace, wrapped in faith and quiet strength, the family drifted into dreams woven from the promise of renewal. The world waited beyond the water's edge, patient and steady as the dawn's inevitable light, and so they rested, held safe by the sacred rhythm of time, by the quiet power of hope, by the enduring pulse of life itself.